All right, hey, what's up guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Today I'm going to do a video on pro-style punt protection, right? So the way you see pro teams punt, and there's some rules to why they have to do what they do, and also I'll talk about the operating time and the body types that they have. But even in high school with certain punt schemes that you're using, it may not be full pro punt, but you may have a side that's a zone side, and this is the best way for you to do it. Make sure you check out some of our partners. GameStride Sideline Replay Company we use at Bishop Kenny High School. I've used them at the last two schools that I've been at. If you are looking for highly reliable, if you're looking for a product that has great customer support, GameStride is the answer for you. See why everybody is making the switch over to GameStride. Dome hats, headwear company we use at Bishop Kenny High School, also at Play Fast Football. This is my most recent custom Play Fast Football snapback P2 performance cap, which they have a great BOGO deal going on right now, and I'll talk a little bit about that at the end, but they have a great deal going on, and if you contact me, I can get you in touch with the guys at Dome, so make sure you check out Dome hats. Baker Sporting Goods company we use, shirts like this, spirit pack stuff for coaches, our game night sideline gear for coaches, our player spirit packs and things that we get for our players and coaches and fans, everything you want, players, coaches, fans, all in one spot. Great customer support, consistent, reliable sales reps. Check out Baker Sports. FlyRouteDrones, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. We use drones for just about everything we do in practice. 7-on-7, stuff in the summer, stuff during the regular season. I highly recommend, drone views and drones for recording stuff because it's the best teaching angle out there, and FlyRoute is the #1 company for sports or drones in athletics, drones in sports, so make sure you check out FlyRouteDrones. Also, there's a PlayFast promo code to get 20% off your online certification. Brandtek USA, company that made custom PlayFast sneakers for me, custom sublimated 3/4, kind of like bullpen baseball jackets or windbreakers, a long sleeve as well. So they do customization with sublimated products. They did my sneakers, so you can get those for your program. They also have disinfectant spray for weight rooms and equipment rooms and places where you might have staff or MRSA or things that pop up. So they have products like that. They have a fundraising platform. They're really just a Swiss Army knife of a company. So make sure you check out Brandtek. All right, DifferenceUSA Ultimate Striking Machine. Thousands of reps. Don't need a partner. If you want to strike violently, you got to practice striking violently. They set up right in your weight room to the current racks that you have, so they are easy to use, easy to install. And then Modern Football Technology, which is a new partner that we picked up this month. It is a company that provides software for real-time game analytics, all right, and it's going to kind of eliminate the manual tagging of everything from the coaching staff. It makes it 1,000 times easier to tag stuff, and then it's also with the self-scout and the analytics that you're getting, it's going to enhance your play calling. It's going to make you a better play caller. It's going to make your side of the ball a better staff by upping the productivity on that side of the ball 1,000 times over. So make sure you are checking out Modern Football Technology. All right, so I got a chance to sit down with the assistant special teams coordinator with the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday, so myself and head coach went over there and got to talk some special team stuff. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about pro punt protection. And again, a lot of teams in high school are shield punt teams because our rules are different than the NFL, right? So sometimes for us, shield punt stuff is a little bit less technique orientated at times, so with the time that we may have to teach special teams, it's a little bit easier. The body types we have makes it a little bit easier, but the NFL also has rules where, until the ball's punted, only a certain amount of guys can be downfield. They can't release guys until the ball's punted, so they have to use some type of protection scheme that is conducive to the rules that they have. And for me, at least in the NFL, one thing that stays certain is things like punt protection, field goal protection. With the best coaches in the game, with the best information in the game, the best minds out there, there are certain things that always stay similar. And for those guys, if there was a better way to do something on offense, defense, or special teams, you know that they would have it. But yet, everybody in the NFL punts kind of the same way. So it has to be a scheme that is so sound and solid for them, it's got to be the best thing out there. Again, we choose to punt sometimes with different schemes for us because of the protection involved, because of the skills involved or the techniques involved in the protection, because of the bodies we have, but also because the rules are different. So keep in mind, you don't see shield punt stuff in the NFL because their rules are different than our rules, right? So when I'm talking pro punt protection, I'm talking about 5 guys in the core, 2 wings, and a personal protector, right? That is pretty much the crux of the shell that you're always going to see. They may bring a guy in tighter here or there, but in general, 90% of the time you watch the NFL, this is going to be the punt formation. There's going to be 2 wings. There's going to be a personal protector. Obviously, there's going to be a punter, usually 2 gunners out. You'll see some stuff where there's gunners over to the field. You'll see some stuff where maybe a wing is up on the ball and they'll motion a gunner to help versus some of the double teams out wide. But in general, this is basically the core of what you're going to see. Now, the first thing that's going to freak high school coaches out is it looks like these edges are really, really short, right? Well, one thing to keep in mind in the NFL is they can use tighter splits inside with their bodies because their bodies are bigger. So those splits, for them, get the edge wide enough that they don't have to worry about it. Whereas one of the drawbacks for us when we think about using a pro punt kick slide zone theory of protection, all right, you know, what ends up happening is the bodies that we use, it's very hard. So the way they teach it is the guard has a 6-inch split from the center, all right, and then usually the tackle has closer to a 1-foot split, all right, from the guard, okay? Now again, the bodies that they're using are so much bigger and wider than the bodies that we would use, they can get away with those splits. Also, the operating time of their snap to foot, all right, if it's averaging around 2 seconds in the NFL, all right, somewhere in that ballpark, 1.9 to 2.1, whatever it may be, they know with that operating time from snap to foot, they know exactly what they need to do to protect and exactly how wide the edges need to be, right? So the first thing you need to think about for us, all right, when we are thinking about using pro punt protection is with the bodies we have, can we be 6-inch and 1 foot as a standard rule? Okay, so the best thing that I saw, or one of the, you know, to me the best thing was the depth that they're able to get by making sure that the guard and the tackle only have their helmet breaking the hip of the center. Okay, because the thing that's going to elongate the edges in your punt protection, all right, is not just the splits, but it's the depth of the sets and the kicks. So the deeper these guys get, the wider the edge gets to have to bend to get to the punter. And with this operating time, they know that if they clean up the inside of the protection, ball's never getting blocked. Punts are never getting blocked off the edge. All right, if you see a punt block off the edge, all right, in the NFL, it's usually some type of operating time, a ball that was bobbled, a snap that was on the ground. With their standard snapper, punter, foot operating time, averaging around 2 seconds, even closer to 2.1, whatever, that the depth of their protection and the edges of the bodies that they have, punts are never going to get blocked from out there. It is an absolute rarity that you see that. So by getting the guard and the tackle to set their helmet on the long snapper's hip, that provides depth. And then they take the wings, and the wings are usually about 2 yards deep of the hip or back foot of the lineman. So now by the time the wings are set, the wings are already at 4 yards deep. All right, the wings usually have some type of alignment where their inside foot is just outside the outside foot of that offensive tackle or the player that's playing tackle in the punt protection scheme, right? So the wing is 2 yards behind that, which makes them almost 4 yards. When I was watching film yesterday, the wings are almost 4 yards off the ball. So that alignment in itself with the kick is going to get them to where the corner would have to be 6 yards deep and then bend with a 2-second operating time. Punts aren't getting blocked from out there. Okay, so to each side, you got the guard tackle. We talked about the split, 6 inches, 1 foot. This is about these guys. The helmet's going to break the hip. All right, it has to be on the hip of the center, which means they can recess as long as in a stance. If I get in my stance and I bend, and my helmet can break the hip of the center, I can be recessed as far back as I need to be, which is going to give us the depth that we need to make the corners and the edges longer. Right? So their helmet on the hip of the center. Wings are usually about 2 yards, depending on each team philosophy. All right, but the wings are about 2 yards, and usually their inside foot is just outside the outside foot of the tackle. Personal protectors usually somewhere at 5, depending on where the ball is, what the situation is. When they're backed up, obviously he can't be that deep, but the personal protector is usually somewhere at about 5. Their count system, they keep it as easy as possible. The wing identifies who the number 1 is. Okay? And the wing is always going to end up on the final number 1. All right? So the wing has the number 1. The tackle has that number 2. All right? Guard has that number 3. And then depending on the look with which way they incorporate the center. Now, this is another thing that scares high school teams. If you want to do this, a lot of times the long snapper has to be part of the kick side. Their long snapper can't release anyways because they can only have 2 people down the field at the point that the ball is punted. Their long snapper can't get out of there because of the NFL rules. So the long snapper has to stay for them anyways, right? So the long snapper and the personal protector are the guys that have to handle 4s and 5s depending on the look, right? So sometimes if they're going to slide the center one way, if it's 4 and 4, the center's got the 4 to one side, the personal protector's got the 4 to the other. Once you start getting twists, all those different games that are coming, they have to go through all their drills to understand who the final 1 is, the final 2 is, the final 3 is, all right? And then personal protector and the center, they have the 4s, or they have the 4 and the 5. If it's 5 on one side and they start coming with loops and games and things, the center has to know if 4 and 5 are on the same side, he might have to take one back. If you don't like your center having to take one back, right? So if you got like this 5-man look on this side where they had, 5 and 4 in there, all right, and they're trying to run some loop game, if you don't like your center taking one back, then you leave your center to the slide and your personal protector. So if you left your center to slide with a rip call here, okay, and you're getting your kick slides, your 1 kick here, all right, he would step up and take off of what the center does. So if the long snapper and the personal protector work together for 4 and 5, they should be good versus all those different games. Okay, so generally there's going to be a rip or lose call. They're going to tell the center which way they want to go. The personal protector is going to work with him. Now, when they start to drill it, what they teach, the guards and the tackles are going to kick vertically backwards, okay, and they're going to kick as deep as they need to until it's time to punch, all right, that opposing player. And again, the vertical kick for them, the depth makes the edges longer. So the deeper the kick with the wings back there, the edges now get longer, which means you have to run around that and bend to get to the kick point, which in the NFL, I believe the coach said the block point was usually at somewhere around 10 or 11 yards. So if the depth of the kicks and the wings gets back to 5, that means you've got to go vertically 5 or deeper around and then bend in front hard, and you've got 2 seconds to get there. That's what makes it so tough to block punts in a system, all right, that works this way. So they teach the guards and the tackles have to kick vertically, okay, deep enough to where they can elongate the edge, but they kick until they have to be able to punch. So they're going to kick vertically until it's time to punch. Okay, so usually, in general, the guards and the tackles are somewhere in the ballpark of 3 kicks. All right. When I say kick, it's like kick slide. We're not sliding out like pass protection. We're sliding straight back vertical. So they load up all the weight on that front foot so that they can really push off and get depth on that kick. Now, the big coaching point is as they kick, they put their inside hand up to post to hold the inside gap to help inside. All right. So as they kick, they have that inside hand up. So each guy, the guard and the tackle, when they kick, and you'll see them, and I watch their film, and that's the first thing I look for is if you tell me something, I need the technique to show up. I'm guilty all the time. I talk to our players, and I say, hey, guys, this is what we're teaching, and on film, I don't see it. We're not teaching it right. We're not doing a good job. Those guys were kicking straight back on boards, doing drills on air, and they were working on their kicks, and every time they kicked, you could see a guy, as soon as he kicked, inside hand went up until it was time to two-hand punch their target. Now their eyes find their work. So my inside hand would go up, but my eyes would go to out because my target is probably outside of me. So I'm kicking back, inside hand up, but my eyes go to find my work. The guard and the tackle kick as deep as they need to, trying to get 3 kicks until it's time to punch something and stop the charge. Now, the interesting thing is because of the depths of the wing, their wings, all right, the wing only kicks once. First noticeable thing on film. All right, so they have to train. When they do their drills on boards vertically, the inside guys are kicking 3 times, but the wing is only kicking once. Because you got to remember, the wing is already 2 yards deep with a tackle. The wing is already almost at 4 to 4.5 yards deep. One kick puts him almost at 5 to 6 yards, depending on the length, the body type, who that wing is. Right? So now what you're getting is you're getting the kicks, one kick here. And now you're elongating the edge to make it almost impossible with a 2-second operating time to come off the edge, bend, and block that punt. Right? So they drill it first on air with a board. They make those guys kick straight down the board. If I was on the left, I'd be kicking back with my left foot, loading up the front, pushing hard to kick. That hand goes up, but my eyes go out to my work. So every time they do it, all right, that guy's got his head's inside the ball gets snapped. Kick, hand, eyes. And they work 3 kicks on the board, then they release guys on air. Then they do it with no boards and bags and guys rushing, and now they kick until the point that they have to punch. Guy comes with the bag, kick, 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 punch, maybe kick, kick, punch if it happens quicker for whatever reason, or you're late in your kick. You are kicking with depth until it's time to punch the opponent player that you have to block, right? Because now we've got to get our weight in the ground and be ready to punch and strike somebody to stop their charge, right? So it involves, again, the NFL guys have rules that they almost have to punt this way. All right, with their operating time, it's the simplest way for them to protect things because they know the looks they're going to get in the box. So once they get those looks and they work on all those twists and loops and things that they can get, the reps just become so simple for them because they know the looks, they know the games, they know the blocks. They set them up each week and you are just ripping it and going. You know you got your 2-second operating time. Punter knows what he's got to do to get it off. If the punter and the snapper are not working at that time, well then the coaches are going to get on their ass about what they're doing. Right? So, again, it's the best way by rule for them to protect punts. And that's why you see it used this way all the time. Now, why do we see it less in high school? Okay? You see it less in high school, number one. All right, and I talked with Coach about this yesterday. Size of the players. It's the same thing with field goal protection. When you watch guys in the NFL and their field goal stuff, and even in college, and all the splits are so tight, the corners are super short, the operating time is so good, and the height of the kickers off their foot is so good, they don't ever worry about anything getting blocked from out there. It very rarely happens that things get blocked from there. Things get blocked from inside. So they always have to protect things inside out. So number one, the size of their players allows them to use that type of system because those body types are going to widen the edge just because of their width of their frame. Their kicks, because of their size, they're probably going to get kicks, protection, not punts. Their kicks and protection is probably going to be way deeper. So that 6'3" linebacker, tight end that's doing it, he's probably going to kick deeper than our 5'9", 5'10" guy that's doing it. Not only is he wider, but he's longer, so he's probably going to kick deeper. So they get more depth in their kicks, right? So that's the first thing. The size of it, all right, the size of the players allows them to get edges that are longer with tighter splits, and it allows them to get more depth in their kick, which makes the edge longer. Okay? The second thing is the operating time. Okay? The operating time. They know they're working off of 2 seconds. They know what their operating time is. They know how long they need to protect, so they know, all right, just it's simple mathematics of angles and speed and how fast guys can run. They know that if they can protect the block point with an operating time of 2 seconds, the edges, by the time they run and bend, even if you didn't block one of them, they'd almost never get there. It's scientifically, mathematically impossible off of that operating time, off of the depth and the width of the corners, to run past somebody, bend, and block that punt. Right? But then the big thing for them also is they need a protection scheme that fits the rules of the NFL. Okay, now, why did we go study it? Well, number one, it's right across the river from our high school, so it's convenient. Number two, we always want to talk good football. And number three, it may not be a full scheme, but we may use a punt protection where at least the backside of something, right? So maybe the backside of something is working that theory, and maybe we're something different on the front, or maybe we only have 2 guys here, and we're working it on this side with the center, okay? But we can't go to a full pro punt protection, and there's, to me, two main reasons why. Number one, our rules dictate that we can get guys down the field quicker, so we want to use that rule to our advantage. Number two, with the size of our bodies, width and length, I don't know if we can take the appropriate splits that we need to be a true pro punt team, all right? Because our edges would be shorter and our depth would be nowhere near as deep as theirs, because our kicks wouldn't be as deep, because it's 5'10", 5'11" versus 6'3", 6'4". All right, now, if you have 6'3", 240-pound linebacker tight ends that make their splits can be 6 inches and a foot, and they can elongate with their kicks, well, then you shouldn't have a problem. The main reason you still wouldn't see it in high school, even if you had those bodies, so even the elite teams that might have 8 to 10 Division I prospects that could be in a pro punt situation and an elite long snapper and punter, you probably still wouldn't see it in high school because of the rules, right? But when it comes to the best way to zone side a punt protection, this makes 100% sense, because they get the most reps against all the games and all the stunts, right? And they understand exactly what they're trying to do, all right? With their 3 guys on that side, they understand exactly the depth that they're trying to create. They know exactly what they're trying to do with the inside hand to post, eyes find and work. So the amount of reps that they can get versus all the different things that they're going to see, okay? So like 1, 2 stack, 3 there. The wing declares, hey, 1 stack, 1 stack. So they know they're going to get some type of games coming, however it may happen. They get a million reps because that zone side of the protection has very simple rules. And they know that if they're splits, kicks, depth, helmet breaking just the hip of the center to get my depth, the wing being 2 yards back to get his depth, the kick slides getting me depth, they know if they do that correctly, they should never have an issue on the zone side. Okay, so like, you know, you would probably tell a guy, look, if you kick deep enough, get run over slowly, they can't block that punt. We just got to get depth in the kick, our eyes got to find our work, and we just can't whiff on something. So the zone side gives you all those reps in the world. So we wanted to know about how they do it, because we may use a zone side in protection. All right? The reason you'll probably never see it as a full high school scheme, okay, is because our rules are different for coverage, so why wouldn't we try to use the rules and get more guys down the field? Because the more guys we can get down the field, the more guys they have to cover. So if we can get 4 eligibles down the field right now, on defense, you got to at least cover those 4 eligibles. Now you're giving us a box that has to be 4 eligibles. You got a returner. You can only have 6 guys in the box. Now we can block the 6 in the box, right? For the NFL, they can't get too crazy with formations because those guys can't get down the field. I believe their rule is only 2 of them can be down the field at the time until the ball is punted. So the center, the personal protector, everybody else can't get out until the ball is kicked anyways. So it doesn't make sense for them to have all these exotic formations because it doesn't fit the rules. All right, so for us, it was the knowledge of the zone side. Talking about the technique of the kick slide, the technique of the splits. All right, what is the width of the splits? What are you doing with your helmet to the center's hip? What are you doing with the wing's depth? How many kicks are the guard and tackle taking? How many kicks does the wing take? What do you do with your inside hand? What do you do with your eyes? So we got hours worth of talk just for the zone side that we may use. And the way I approach it all the time is if I never use one of their schemes, I still understand it a lot better. So I have no problem going to learn things that I may not be able to use at my school, all right, or where I am, but one day maybe I can use it, or one day I'll have to, or maybe we can use that on the zone side of our protection. So knowledge to me is always, if somebody invites you and you get a chance to talk, plus I hadn't seen the Jags' new facility, so this facility's awesome. We were in the staff rooms, their locker room, their training room, cafeteria, everything. Amazing place. I had not been there yet, even though I've been here for the last 25 years of my life. The new facility, the Miller Electric, it's indoor, and then their coaches building and all that. I haven't seen any of it, so it was absolutely amazing. I would go anywhere to listen to football, so I'm always going to go. The other neat thing they do, okay, is when they talk about getting down the field in coverage, with the 3 guys that are on that side, they talk about the first guy down is real heavy to the ball. All right, the second guy down they consider a force player. And the last guy down they consider, all right, kind of a contain or a late fold player. All right. So they have a guy that's heavy, a guy that's force, and a guy that's kind of contained fold. All right. And they talk about the first one out, the second one out, the third one out. Now, Really interesting, neat concept. This drill I know we can do and I know we can use, okay? They would put 3 guys up on agile bags. 3 agile bags, 3 players up. All right, so you've got, you've got a player, and a player. And what they would do is they would shuffle across the agile bags, and when they got to the other side, they'd come behind and shuffle back. Step up and do it again. So all 3 players shuffle over the agile bags. All right, back up behind, shuffle back across, step up and do it again. At any time while they're in that drill, there's going to be a whistle that gets blown. Okay? When that whistle gets blown, they get out of the drill and they go down and cover the field. So at any time, they could be behind the bags. It could be one guy here with the other 2 in the middle of the bags. When that whistle blows, they get out. And what happens is, based on where they are in the bags, somebody's going to get out first, somebody's going to get out second, somebody's going to get out third. Right? So rather than saying, hey, the wing, you're doing this, and the tackle, you're doing that, and the guard, you're doing that, they're teaching it when they do this drill, when they come out of these bags with their shuffle stuff and their agility work. When the whistle blows, whoever's first is heavy, right? Whoever's second is force. Whoever's third is contain, or what I would call late fold, because a lot of the times that contain guy, so you're going to think, oh, why do you have a force guy and a contain guy? Well, the contain guy is the last one down, so he's like a level behind the first 2 out. So he's working to a spot to contain, but if the ball declares itself somewhere else, he could always fold back inside the force play. Right? So it really makes it like a 3-level deal, so that the neat thing is when you watch it on film in games, all right, as they're going down to cover punts, you've got a body that's there, a body that's there, and a body that's there on 3 different levels. Because we all know in punt coverage and kickoff coverage, when everybody gets on that same level, that's when you have issues. So it creates layers for them in their coverage units, right? And it's a way for them to teach first out, second out, third out, and then they have techniques and terms that they use, hey, heavy, force, contain, and their guys know exactly what to do based off that. So they showed us a lot of their coverage drills, how they do things, what they do. Another interesting thing is their gunners, all right, use a technique that they call, all right, late and low, and it's going to be a cross-face technique, right? So most of us with gunners, we tell our gunners when they go down the field, hey, when you get down the field, when you go to make a play, make sure that that returner is inside of you. Well, a lot of times for our guys, same thing in kickoff coverage. That guy gets up the field and he just goes up the field to never get beat outside, and he doesn't really make the returner do anything different. So what they do is they let the first guy down, usually the kick side, so if they're punting directionally right or left, the kick side gunner, they give him a chance that if he's first down, all right, late and low, he can cross face. So if the returner was here, he's pushing that returner with his leverage hard, and late and low, he's allowed to take his shot to the opposite hip. So they then teach either the other gunner or maybe the center or whoever's the next coming down, the next guy coming down is going to work across to his hip, and they showed a great drill of how they do that. 2 gunners going down, the first one. So I'd be coming down on this side of the camera. If I'm the first one down, all right, when that ball gets caught, I can take my chance at the other hip crossface to make a tackle. And now you're going to say, well, we never want to lose contain. They were teaching the next guy down, the second guy, that he knows that's going to happen, and it almost becomes like a 2-man vice where when that guy goes crossface late and low, I go the other way and I vice the ball back. And then you still have coverage, you know, you got guys that are running down behind it, so it's not like those are the only 2. But the best thing about it to me was everything that they taught us, they then showed us drill footage and game footage, right? So it's one thing to learn a scheme and then have somebody go, hey, we've never done this before, but this is what we would try. And then it's another thing to teach you, hey, this is what we do with our gunners. We are leverage, and then late and low we can cross face. Here's how we drill it. They pull a drill up of those guys doing it. And then you see it happen in games, right? So, you know, just again, anytime you can talk football with really knowledgeable coaches, the guys in the NFL, ton of ball, they've been around forever, they know what they're doing. Another key coaching point is, even though he might be in charge of special teams, he's always asking the receiver coach and the DB coach, hey, what do you guys teach them for press? What do you teach them for press releases? Because when we work gunners and stuff like that, I want to use your techniques and terminology because I think the carryover is there, especially if it's a DB that's holding up a gunner, or if a wide receiver is a gunner going down the field. right? It makes that's a carryover for them. They're using the same techniques. If it's a DB covering, I want him to use the same press release mechanics that you teach. So what are you teaching? So even though they're in charge of something, all right, they are mindful enough as being part of a unit to understand who they want to ask for information. So just because you're the boss doesn't mean you go get information. No, he's the boss. He's in charge of something, but he's going to the DB guy and saying, hey, tell me the best way. What do you think the best way is to teach this when we got to cover up these gunners? Hey, receiver coach, tell me how we're releasing and what's the best way, what's the footwork, what's the terms. I want this guy, I want this to be as consistent as possible. So the drill work, the teaching, the terminology, the buzzwords, just everything they do is so efficient. If you've never got a chance to sit in on NFL meetings, film, or how they do things, yeah, they do a million things. They have more time than we do. Yeah, they have a crazy amount of terminology, but everything they do, there's a method to the madness, man. I mean, their buzzwords and the things that they're using, there's a method to it, and then there's a teaching point, and then there's drills and things that they're doing that show up live. It is, to me, the best thing in the world. I could have sat there all day. It was absolutely amazing. So hats off to Coach Thompson, Jags, for letting us be out there. Again, it's right across the river from our stadium, so it's a short drive, but hats off to them. So if you are going to use a zone side of a protection, or if you ever thought about using pro punt protection, that is kind of the nuts and bolts behind it. 6-inch split from the guard, 1 foot split from the tackle. Helmet's got to barely break the hip of the center to be legal, but we want depth off the ball so that our kick slides are deeper. The wings are 2 yards back, probably almost 4 yards off the ball when you look at it. Their inside foot is just outside the outside foot. They have 1 kick. Guard and tackle have 3 kicks. Center and personal protector usually end up with 4 and 5. That's the kind of nuts and bolts of all of it, right? Obviously, like anything else we talk on a video, 22-minute video, there's more to it than that, but that's the nuts and bolts of it. If you want to use a zone side that has to kick, slide, protect, if you want a better way to kick, slide the zone side instead of just saying, hey, zone side, take 1 step laterally. Now you're flat at the line of scrimmage if somebody misses or the edge is really short. So on a zone side, the kick, slide, protection, straight back vertical is probably the best way to do it. So hats off to them. Thanks for letting us out, letting us be out there. And then we talk some kickoff stuff too, because I am doing kickoff coverage this year, so we got a chance to talk some kickoff stuff, which maybe I'll do another video on later. But appreciate everything you guys do for Play Fast. Remember, if you are interested, Dome Hats right now has a BOGO deal going on with this P2 performance cap, which is this exact cap of the brand new Play Fast football hat. All right. They have a BOGO deal going on. You could order 72 at $9.99 a piece and get another 72 free. That's right, 72 at $9.99, get another 72. So that means you're getting 144 hats, okay, and you're only paying for 72 of them. So $9.99 a hat, you get 144 of them. It ends up being about $5 a hat. Now, if you're using it as a fundraiser, you can turn around and sell those hats. You bought them for $5 a piece, you sell them for $15 or $20. Now you're making $10 to $20, almost 300% profit off of the deal. If you're buying them just to give out to people, where else can you get 144 hats for the price of 72? You could buy 144 and get 144. You could add it by the dozen, so you could go 72.